Hi there guys, this is Card back with another video. I'm gonna make this video as short as possible, but basically this video is gonna be about characters that are must-have as a completely new player, a beginner, mid-game player, and an end-game player. So I'll go exactly in that order. So let's begin. As an extremely new player, the one and only character that is given out to everyone for free is Kirishima. Now, a lot of us, including me, underestimate Kirishima because like without his stars, Kirishima is not that great in general. But as soon as you start unlocking those star up traits and like skills, he overall becomes broken really quick. In general, he takes whatever damage is given to him without dying, and at the same time whatever damage he takes, he reflects a lot of it back and then heals from what is reflected. So Kirishima is definitely someone that I should be going for, and he is a guaranteed character, so everyone should build him in any way possible. Definitely focus on him, and while you're focusing on him, and you do get other characters as well, other honorable mentions would be, as an extreme beginner, if you do not have any characters at all, I have seen Gang Orca being someone who's pretty common in teams. So Gang Orca is definitely pretty good, and if you do get some stars for him, he also becomes a bit better. So you could definitely have him in the team as well, but I would not recommend keeping him for a very long time. Now, if you do not have any characters at all, and if you somehow get your hands on Tokoyami right here, then you should definitely build him as well, because he's really broken. And if you remember from my buffers video, if you haven't seen it already, you should definitely do. Tokoyami is someone who you should also focus on and try getting him to 6 stars as soon as possible alongside Kirishima. Now Gang Orca, you can get rid of him as soon as you start unlocking other characters, and you do have them. Now right here for Midoriya, Izuku Midoriya Muscle, who's a S-class hero, not the Elite S Midoriya, not this one, but this one right here. As an extremely beginner or like a new player, I've seen a lot of players have him, and I would definitely say use him, because in general his ultimate allows you to have a 35% chance to stun 3 random enemies, and even though it's just 35%, that's really high. And as you star him up to like 2, 4, and 6, that percentage increases all the way to 80. And I would also soon not develop Midoriya a lot, because you can easily outpower Midoriya with other crowd control characters. And if you haven't seen my crowd control characters video yet, you should definitely go and check that out. So that's something. Have him in your team, he's pretty useful. Now, as an extremely beginner, once you start clearing off your chapters, there's gonna be another section right here in the recruit called as the Frenzy Recruit. So in Frenzy Recruit, there are 2 stages, stage 1 and stage 2. So in stage 1, you just get normal S-class heroes. In that, I would mainly focus on Tokoyami, Kirishima, maybe some other characters as well if you do get them, but I would focus on the 2 that I just mentioned. And apart from the 2 of those, in the stage 2, you should definitely go for Momo. As a newcomer and a new beginner, Momo is someone who carries you from almost all the chapters, at least in the beginning stages. So Momo is someone you should be definitely considering having in your team. And not only that, in your wish list, you should definitely go for Momo in the Elite S wish, because she's insane. So that is for the newcomers. And another thing is, as an extremely newcomer, if you do have Nomu with you, that is the A-class Nomu, you should definitely try leveling him up as well, because overall his damage potential is really high as a beginner. But in case you start unlocking other DPS characters like All Might Muscle right here, or maybe even Inasa, they're also pretty good in dealing damage as such, so I would definitely go for those if I could get my hands on them, because they're also pretty good. But again, as I said, Momo is someone who's more important over here, and definitely someone whom we should be having in your team. So that is it for the newcomers. Now let's start with beginners. Now what I mean by beginners is someone who has already completed around 10 to 15 chapters. And so let's begin. For beginners, what I would recommend is, in any way possible, try getting Nezu, because Nezu can easily swap off your Midoriya whom we were talking about a minute ago, oops, sorry, Midoriya Muscle, which is the S-Class hero, Nezu will easily swap him off in your team, because overall Nezu is much better than Midoriya, and try getting his stars as well if you could, and mostly you can, not mostly, you can only get Nezu from your Wish Realm, and I know it's pretty hard, but if you're able to get your hands on Nezu, it's totally worth it, because floors become so much easier with him, because he does not allow anyone to attack in general. So definitely go for Nezu. Then if you're a new beginner right now, then you should definitely go for starring up your Momo to at least 4 stars. 2 stars is also recommended, but as many as possible is better. 6 stars is the best, but 4 is somewhere you should stop and like focus on other characters at the same time. But try getting it to 4 stars, if not 2. So yeah, because her shield not only helps you take 0 damage, but also heals your character. So if she does her ultimate and shields everyone, and then you're attacked, you're not only gonna take no damage, but also gonna heal instead. So overall their chemistry and synergy is pretty good. Now right after them we have Tokoyami. If you're a new player and a beginner, Tokoyami is definitely someone you should try getting to 6 stars, because he's a normal S-Class character. So try getting him to 6 stars. And even before Tokoyami, you should definitely try going for Kirishima at like as many stars as possible. Get him 6 stars the first. There's no excuses for that. Overall, Kirishima is like insane in general and can help you in early chapters really good. And for damage wise, if you can get your hands on Shigaraki, you should try that. But as a beginner, I wouldn't think that Shigaraki would be a good starting character, because he's hard to get. But if you do get your hands on him, like maybe by buying some packs or something, then I would definitely recommend going for Shigaraki. Otherwise, the best damage dealer in my opinion would be All Might Muscle, who's pretty easy to get as well. Because of some different achievements, you are able to unlock All Might just for free. And apart from just All Might, we also have Inasa, who's a pretty good damage dealer in general and can definitely help your team grow up, because he deals group damage just like All Might Muscle. And his damage is pretty considerable, like he does definitely do a lot of damage. So apart from just those tips, I will go over team building in a different video. So if you're waiting for team building video, it should be out in some days. If you're waiting for team building videos, it will be out in some days, and then you can have a watch on that, on like how it works, stuff like that. So definitely wait for that video if it's not out already. And if it's out, definitely watch that. Now let's go on to mid-game players. Now mid-game players is someone whom I would assume has completed at least chapter 27-15 and is able to unlock chips at this point and has his characters around level 70-80. That would be a good mid-game player. Now if you have already gone this far in this game, at this point you should definitely try getting your hands on All Might Glam, because the time has come where you should actually start focusing on player versus player more than player versus enemy. So All Might in general, All Might Glam or Glamour All Might is someone you should definitely focus on in your early game itself, or like mid game itself. Now I made a huge mistake of not using All Might Glamour and rather using his shards for other characters like Shigaraki and his shards. So do not make that mistake like what I did, because you get a lot more rewards from PvP tournaments like UA Peak or USJ and stuff like that. So if you're able to deal damage with him, definitely go for him and unlock as many stars as you can. Now at this point, since you're mid-game, your Kirishima is a must 6 star, if possible SS and SS plus as well, because getting him as strong as possible is a main goal and is a must as well. Now same goes for Tokoyami. He's a must in your team even at mid-game, and you should definitely have him at 6 stars as well. And at least costume level 10 for the sake of it, because his costume is also gonna give you 20% crit rate to all your characters, so that they can deal more damage. So that's gonna be another requirement. I would definitely say go for it. Now for player versus enemy, I would definitely aim for Shigaraki and try getting hands on him as well and start starring him up, because for player versus enemy, Shigaraki is a god at 6 stars And even without 6 stars, his damage potential is super high. He's easily able to knock everyone down and kill everyone in general. And then, yeah, in general, he's pretty good. And his 6 stars makes him even better because he reduces rage every time he crits an opponent that he hits. So overall, he's pretty insane. Now, another character whom I would like to mention for PvE is Nezu, because Nezu is pretty insanely good. And you should try to get your hands on him by this time, and also try starring him up to like 2, 4, 6. 6 is the best. 2 is also recommended because of the numb chances. And if you do have Shigaraki, he also becomes better because numbing is something good when you're using Shigaraki, so definitely aim for that. Now at this point, your Momo for player versus enemy or even player versus player should be 6 stars. Try to get your hands on her as soon as possible because she's Elite S. She's still easier to get than Nezu or Shigaraki or Glam in general, so definitely try getting her. And if you do get a chance to use or be able to pull for Tetsu or Ibara, definitely do pull for those as well because their stars up and star ups also help a lot. Tetsu is a unique character. He helps PvP. So sorry for the cut there, but basically what I was saying is if you are able to get your hands on Tetsu, it's really good because in general, at like 2 stars and 4 stars, which are definitely a must, he's able to reduce the damage that is taken, and 4 star basically increases the damage that you deal. So overall, he's pretty good for PvP, and he is usable in PvE, but I wouldn't recommend that as such. And at 6 stars, whenever he does his ultimate, he gives reach to everyone, which is insane because no character as of now has like that ability in like that range that he gives rage to everyone when he does his ultimate. There's Mei Hatsume who gives like 4 rage, but that's just to one character, stuff like that. So yeah. And for Ibara, I would definitely say she's a must for PvE. Now, I was able to clear Chapter 16, both easy and hard mode. The Nightmare mode is gonna be releasing sometime soon. I'm not sure of the time, but in general, Ibara is definitely someone who's a must for PvE, and her 2 stars is a must because without the 2 stars, she's good. But I would definitely say 2 stars is the best. Now 4 stars is pretty good, but if you already have Tomura at 6 stars, then her 4 stars just become completely not needed. And for the 4 star, you also get HP percent and defense percent as the first and the third star, so that's pretty good on her because she will be a bit more tankier. So yeah, definitely go for that. Alright, now let's talk about the endgame players. Now, endgame player would basically mean someone who has completed as many chapters as they can and as much loyalty as they can, and at this point you are just going all in for PvP and you do not really care much about PvE. So I will only be talking about characters who are really good at PvP. So PvP can have multiple type of teams that you can play with, and there are 4 total type of teams, but I would only refer to 3 of those because those are the 3 that I have tried already, and then there are 2 honorable mentions right after it. So one of the 4 is that is just damage team, which straight up increases your damage by so much that you just can't stop dealing damage, like literally. And that includes Glam, that is All Might, Glamour. And basically, I have already explained his kit in general, like what he does. He's obviously a damage dealer. Now, alongside him, we have Tokoyami, as I mentioned, because overall he increases crit damage and crit rate. So 6 stars is a must by then. And since you're an endgame player, I'm pretty sure that your Tokoyami is already 6 stars. Now, at this point for PvP, do not use Momo or Nezu because you're only focusing on damage and not supports like those, because they do support you in a different way. Like Nezu does CC and Momo gives you shield, but we don't need those. All we need to do is deal damage. So what are the supports that increase your damage? Now if you have not already seen my video on buffer heroes, definitely to go have a look at that because that explains a lot on how these different teams are made and played with. So let's begin. So Tetsu, if you're using a damage dealing team, then you definitely need the 4 star. because 4th star increases your damage bonus by 15%, which is pretty high. In general, 15% would mean a lot, because if your glam is hitting like a million damage in general, like base damage is a million, you get 15% or like 1,150,000 damage, which is insane, which increases your damage by a lot. So now best one is gonna be Tetsu because he's overall pretty good. And then right after him comes Mineta. So his kit right here is basically when he is at 6 stars, and he's an A rank character or A class character, so you're obviously gonna have him at 6 stars by this point. So basically at 6 stars, he gives an aura of crit rate of 20%. So right now you have Tokoyami and him in your team, and Tokoyami's costume is 10. So obviously you're already at 40% crit rate without any buffs from gears or anything. So that is one plus point of his. And then his costume increases your attack bonus by 20%. So one concept that I will explain is crit damage bonus scaling is more than damage bonus scaling, which is in turn more than attack bonus scaling. But then this gives you 20%, whereas the others maximum gave you like 15% bonus, like how Tetsu gives you 15%. So this 20% is able to suffice for that extra 5%. I haven't exactly calculated that, but this attack bonus definitely helps you a lot because of the crit rate support that he gives as well. So he's a must-have 6 star and costume 10. Now right after him comes Mina, and her kit is also something similar. All we need is her costume at level 10. Her stars doesn't quite matter, but you obviously have her at 6 stars because you're at endgame. Now she gives you 15% damage bonus, which is pretty much similar to Tetsu. So those are the 3 that I use right now in my team. Now if you are doing something like Wish Realm enemies or Crusade, then for that time, someone whom I like the most is Mei Hatsume, because one, her 6 stars is insane. It basically gives you, or actually just the 4 star actually, it gives you 4 rage to whoever's right in front of her. So let's take an example. If I have Mei Hatsume right here instead of whoever that was, that's Tetsu, and then I have Glam right in front of her. If I have Mei Hatsume right there and then Glam right in front of her, whenever she does her ultimate, she's gonna give 4 rage to Glam, which is insane because Glam is going to be able to hit his ultimate every round in that case. So definitely go for that. Now, another thing that is good with her is her costume level 10. At costume level 10, she basically, whenever she does her ultimate, she gives you 15% damage bonus to the front row. And Glam should always be your first character in your team which begins the game, because you want to start dealing damage the first second you enter the game. Now if it's Crusade or something where you can take the damage from the opponent, or Vishram, I would personally go for Tokoyami as the starter because of his ultimate giving crit damage and crit rate even more. So I usually start with him, and then right after him is Glam. That's why I placed my team in this way, so that I just have Tokoyami right there, and that's how my team looks. So that is another character that I would like to mention. Now those were the best ones that I use. There's another one that is Kyokajiro, and she's somewhat similar to Mina. That is her costume level 10 also gives you 15% damage bonus. And now comes the tanky teams. For tanky teams, Kirishima is a must. Now you just have to build him somewhat like how I have built my Glam. And if you haven't already seen my Glam video, then I would definitely suggest seeing my Glam video, and also my Kirishima video. If you haven't seen that already, definitely go have a watch that. Have a look at it on how to build your Kirishima for like high defense teams, and he's pretty worth it. Now with him, I would also use Tetsu always because of his 2 stars, which gives you 15% damage reduction, which is actually insane. Kirishima takes 15% lesser damage from whoever attacks him, and that's pretty good. Now here, another one whom I would like to mention is Mr. Compress. So now Mr. Compress's costume gives you 15% damage reduction as well. And someone who's similar to that is Cementos right here. Now Cementos has just one extra benefit, which I can explain real quick. Now it increases your damage reduction by 15 as well at costume level 10. But the other thing is his ultimate basically gives you a damage absorption shield to like 2 of the lowest HP characters. Because of stars it becomes 2, But basically you can almost absorb all the damage that is being dealt to you, other than the true damage which is dealt by Glam, Kirishima, All Might Muscle, and other characters like that, if there are any other. So you only take that true damage, but other than that you almost take no damage if he's able to cast his ultimate. Now another character whom I would ask you to build would be Mount Lady. Now you could literally build Mount Lady just like Kirishima, and she can act as a tank of her own. And she's insane in general because her ultimate, every time she casts her ultimate, she gives you 25% damage reduction. And not only that, if she does her ultimate every round and then maybe even like give her Fury, but I wouldn't suggest that. Tenacious is the best for her. If she's able to cast her ultimate more than once in a round, that is going to be insane because she's gonna have like 100% damage reduction in like one round. And at that point you just almost take no damage. You already have more damage reduction buffers. She's just insane in general. And another one whom I would like to mention is Shinso. Now his not costume, it's just his 6 stars. At 6 stars, he gives everyone 10% defense bonus. So he's a B class hero, he's easy to get at 6 stars, so definitely would like to add him into the team so that he can give that 10% defense bonus, because he's pretty helpful. And then just have like another DPS character as the last one so that he can deal some damage, like a support All Might or like a pretty focused All Might, like equalized to Kirishima or something. Like I have a DPS team, so it doesn't make sense right here, but yeah. Anyway, so the last type of team that we have is a dodge team. So now for dodge teams, what you would like is All for One. Now All for One should literally have crystals with dodge in them. You see there's 2 dodge right there, 3 dodges right here, and then 2 dodges right here. As much dodge that can be built on him is a must for him. Like I have 87% right now without any buffers. Now 4 star is a must for a dodge team with All for One. And basically the only thing that I do other than this is give him the boots, preferably red, but black and other lower qualities also help you pretty much. It really helps because one, that their enhancements in general, modifications in general give you dodge percent right here, so it's really good. And whenever he dies when he's 4 star, he gets reincarnated, like literally whenever he gets lethal damage he revives with 50% of the max HP, so he's pretty insane in general. And apart from just that, some dodge buffers are Tenyaida, because one, his costume gives him 20% costume gives him 20% dodge bonus. And not only that, we have Ectoplasm, and his costume gives you 15%, but just his 6 star is an aura which gives you another 5%, so pretty much similar to Ida itself. And now you can see like just these 2 characters right here give you 40% dodge bonus. Now if you're running a dodge team, definitely try getting them to 6 stars and costume level 10, and your dodge team is gonna shine. And I did try dodge team, since dodge has a cap of 50% that is set by the game itself. Even if you have like over 200% dodge, like how my All for One sometimes has, you will take hits eventually at some point in the game. Now since his dodge is super high, he usually dodges the first attack from Glam, and then if he does take that first damage, he gets reincarnated, and then if Glam attacks him again, he just dodges the next shot right after it. So dodge team just has these 3 players right here, and then the other 3 players that I have is Glam, Tokoyami, and Tetsutetsu, or even Mineta. That is just solely for damage bonus, so that I have like a DPS in my team who can kill everyone, while my bait, which is All for One, is just tanking all the damage. Now another thing that I do for All for One is give him mentality of dodge. Now I even had a red one, but I think I had to give it to other players of my team, so that's what I did. And that is how I play those 3 teams. Now the 4th team is a healing team. Now for healing, Momo is the best. Right after her is Seiji Shishikura. Whoops. And the one right after him is going to be Twice, and then right after Twice is Mezzo, but Mezzo is not that good as Twice and the others because only his ultimate can heal the characters. So yeah. I'm not gonna go in depth with this team because no one really uses this, but it definitely has a huge potential if there are some nerfs to the DPS team. Now, right after that is the Scorch teams. Now, if you're using Scorch teams, you are you must have Bakugo at 6 stars at this point, and other Scorch players like Endeavor, he should be at 6 stars at this point, and Dabi should be 6 stars because he's insane and he increases his damage whenever someone's burning. So yeah, definitely a must. Now, right after that, we have a Bleed team. Those were the two honorable mentions. For Bleed team, I haven't quite used that ever before. But basically for Bleed team, I would use someone like Toga. I would definitely use Toga in my team for Bleed teams. And then apart from just her, I think Stain does bleed as well, so definitely having Stain at 6 stars and getting him like higher in level so that he can deal more damage and in general bleed out the opponent so that they can take damage over time. Same goes for Scorch, so that it can deal damage over time. That is how you play teams like this, and whoever are the other bleed characters, definitely try leveling them up as well. Now, for the support items, I would definitely say Carolina Smash is a must for DPS teams and even for tank teams, because overall, you do need the damage even if you're really tanky. If you can't kill the opponents in the time while your tank is tanking all the damage, you might lose to speed sometimes. So tanking is definitely a must, but this damage bonus which it gives and even the rage up is a definite must. Now, apart from just that, for a defense type team, you will have to go for heal, because it gives you another 10 to 22% damage reduction, which is pretty insane, and it procs every round, so overall just increases your team by a lot. Now, if you're running a Scorch or Burn team, go for Explosion Suppression. If you're running Bleed team, go for Dance of Death. If you're going for a Dodge team, then I would just go for Carolina Smash, Heal, and something else, or maybe even Sonambulist so that you can stun the enemies and not take hits in that way. And if you're using a healing team, then again, Heal is the best for that. Alright, so that was pretty much all the explanation I had and tips and guide for all of our newer players, starters, beginners, and mid-game players and game players. So I hope that really helped everyone, and I hope that helps us grow as build our teams, know whom to focus on, characters, their costumes. And another quick mention for the endgame players, try to get the costumes as high as possible for your main DPS and tanks. Like Glam should have his costume at 30 as soon as possible. Same goes for Kirishima if he's your tank, or Mount Lady, whoever you're using as your tank. Now for Dodge team players, All For One doesn't need his costume at all, so doesn't quite matter. And yeah, that's how it works. So that was it for this video, and thank you. Signing off now.